Hello and welcome to SaltWire today for Wednesday, May 17th. I'm your host, Kate Walker. We begin today in Stewiacke, where it's been reported an elderly man has died after a home collapsed. Emergency crews were called here to Kitchener Street around noon. An 82-year-old man was allegedly at the construction site of the home when it collapsed on him. The sister of the victim spoke to SaltWire on scene and said he died as a result and identified him as Gerald Wright. A police officer on scene also confirmed there was a fatality but have not identified the victim. There's no word on what caused the collapse. Construction is beginning on 6 long-term care homes being built in HRM. These homes will house 720 seniors, set to open in 2025. According to the Minister of Seniors and Long-Term Care in Nova Scotia, 1,676 people at home are waiting to get into long-term care. Another 290 are waiting in acute care for a long-term bed.
We are not just building beds. These are brand new living spaces with private bathrooms where people can live with dignity while receiving excellent care from the staff in our wonderful continuing care sector.
Here's a look at where the facilities will be. Some of them include a 96-room facility in Tintallon, 144 rooms in Dartmouth, 48 rooms in Bedford. Negotiations are underway for a 7th long-term care facility in the Halifax area, which would have around 90 more single living spaces. A replacement facility for Northwood in Fall River is also moving forward, with the site selection now complete. A replacement facility is also planned for the Birches in Musquodoboit Harbour and is expected to open in 2025. Other replacement facilities in the Central Zone include Melville Lodge in Halifax and Dykeland Lodge in Windsor. The Nova Scotia Police Review Board says 2 Halifax constables did nothing wrong and that racism did not play a factor in the arrest of Kayla Borden in July 2020. 34-year-old Borden, a black woman from Halifax, was stopped and arrested around 1 a.m. on July 28, 2020 at the intersection of Windmill and Sea Point Roads in Dartmouth. Borden's 2010 Dodge Avenger was surrounded by half a dozen police vehicles. It turned out that police had the wrong suspect, and both she and her vehicle did not match the description. The decision, made by a 3-person panel, reads in part, "We are satisfied that there was no disciplinary default by either Constable Jason Meisner or Constable Scott Martin, and that their actions on the night of July 28, 2020 were reasonable." Borden, who was backed up by plenty of supporters as the proceedings unfolded, says she launched her complaint because she felt she was swarmed, not read her rights, and police neglected to properly check who they were looking for. She felt it was a result of racial profiling. Borden and her lawyer, Asaf Rashid, strongly disagreed with the final decision made by the board. Rashid responded in part, "The decision sets an abysmally low bar for what the board considers a lawful stop, suggesting that police couldn't spend an extra 2 seconds to simply peer around the vehicle to look for whether there was a temporary license plate, which was on the vehicle that police were actually looking for, with several officers present, is beyond comprehension." Next to one couple's startling discovery in Hopewell, Nova Scotia. It was not anything a first-time home buyer would expect to find on their property, a family gravesite going back generations. SaltWire's Jen Taplin has more on their plans to take care of the resting place of a family they didn't know.
Kendra Hartling and Devin Kaiser bought this property in Hopewell after being rent-evicted from their apartment last year. Not long after they moved here, Kaiser discovered a family gravesite in the woods on their property while out for a walk with his dog Zeus.
I wasn't expecting it at all. I was a little freaked out maybe, not knowing what to expect, and is it going to be creepy or that sort of thing.
The gravesite appears to have 3 generations of the Grant family and has been neglected for some time.
There's the one gravestone. There is a fence. It's mostly fallen down. The gate is still there and actually works perfectly fine. It's really grown up. You would easily not really know it was there if you weren't looking for it.
Ever since, they've been trying to find out more about the family that was buried here. Recently, Hartling posted on a local Facebook group and was surprised by the amount of attention it received.
We'd like to find the story and, some information on these people, where they came from. We know they had a farm.
The couple also plans to preserve and rebuild the gravesite.
It seems forgotten about, and we don't think that that's fair to them to be forgotten about, and so we want to, pick up the slack and hopefully respect them.
They have learned some history, but are hoping to find out all they can about the Grant family that is buried on their property. In Hopewell, I'm Jen Taplin for the SaltWire Network.
It's time now for a glimpse of today's Thinking Out Loud with Sheldon McLeod. Today, Sheldon is speaking with Kayla Borden about the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia.
Well, there are a lot of things in our lives we just don't agree upon, but it sounds like it's swinging way past that on the this pendulum is going way past that.
It's a very hot button issue that you can easily press for people who are still upset over a variety of things in society, be it the COVID restrictions that semi still remain, and of course ongoing issues with COVID and healthcare, or even just the price of food. I saw someone on the internet, on Twitter yesterday, just comment. It was a first name, bunch of numbers kind of account, and they commented that directly because of the expansion of trans rights, my food is now more expensive, and I truly don't understand that kind of logic. But we're not really actually talking about logic. We're talking about raw emotion. And when you have a target that people tell you is acceptable to attack, all of that just flows in. There's no logic or reason behind any of it. It's pure just, I need someone to be angry at because civilization is not going the way I expected when I was a kid. Society is facing issues that I expected would have been fixed, or even I myself cannot afford this thing I need or feel like I want. And now I feel like something has been taken away from me.
And for Sheldon's full conversation, head to the opinion section of SaltWire.com. Time now for the Atlantic Sports Wire, presented by Scott Squires.
The Halifax Mooseheads first took to the ice in the 1994-95 season. Since then, a lot of players have worn the colors of the Halifax Mooseheads, and we asked fans who they think is the greatest goalie in the history of the Halifax Mooseheads.
It's still got to be Jigger. No other goalie's got a Stanley Cup. Plus, you got to remember Jigger was the first guy that started the flopping. Because I asked him about it, and I said, how come you flop? He said, that's the way it's going.
Easy, Russo. For me, I gotta say he makes really good saves, and he's being a good difference maker as a goalie for the Mooseheads in the playoffs right now.
It's between Jigger and Russo. Jigger was just a great goaltender. Russo is doing well. Picali was great, but he had a different team in front of him than Russo does, for sure. They're all great goaltenders, but it is hard to pick.
John Sebastian Giguere and Russo right now. Picali, he was good, but he had an awesome team in front of him, stood up in front of him. This team this year is young, and Russo's standing on his head. He's 18 years old, doing phenomenal.
On tomorrow's Atlantic Sports Wire, we ask fans who they think the greatest overall player is in the history of the Halifax Mooseheads. Make sure you check that out. In Halifax, I'm Scott Squires for the Atlantic Sports Wire.
Thank you, Scott. On to weather now to see what's coming up in the forecast. We're going to check in now with our weather specialist, Alistair Alders.
Thanks, Kate. Well, it was soggy for the first half of our Wednesday. Certainly not enough rain to help with the very dry conditions. Certainly was damp, though, and that is thanks to that cold front that has crossed the region. Now, if you're not a fan of this type of weather, we do have sunshine returning to the forecast. But this evening, it will be mainly cloudy with showers or drizzle. The temperature will be near 5 degrees, and if you do have any frost-sensitive plants, I would bring them inside tonight because tomorrow morning on Thursday we'll be starting near +1 except for along parts of the coast. Northwest winds will gust 20 to 40 kilometers per hour tonight into tomorrow morning, so it's likely that the frost, if any, will develop in areas sheltered from the wind, but some patchy frost possible. Mainly sunny in the morning and mainly sunny throughout the day on our Thursday, up to a high of 12 degrees in the afternoon, which is below seasonal. Winds will start to become lighter. Temperatures, though, rebounding as we head towards the end of the week into the upcoming long weekend. Sunshine also in the forecast Thursday right through Saturday. Poor timing for the next round of showers, but the wet weather returns to the forecast Sunday and hangs around on Monday. So if you do have any long weekend plans, you'll want to certainly plan around the wet weather. Kate.
Thank you, Alistair. That's all for now. For more extended video and full online articles, stay tuned to SaltWire.com. And you can find us on social media. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
Turn off the noise. Tune in to what matters. What matters is information you can trust. What matters is the news you can use to make life's big decisions. Informed healthcare choices, casting the smart vote, or opening that business. What matters is understanding the world around you. Let SaltWire connect you to what matters with unlimited access to the information you need for only $20 for the first year. Become a member today.